Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to SAU Field on a gorgeous Wednesday afternoon as we're here for Division I baseball. Your 6-5 Bedford Bulldogs against the, I believe, 4-6 Salem Blue Devils. Got to check that number again. Doing it off the top of my head. I'm Harry Kozlowski here, along with Lauren Fox with the color and the call. And Lauren, this team has been a little streaky. The Bedford Bulldogs have been. They started out. They had a 3-game win streak before, dropped 2, and now they won another 3 in a row and got them over the hump at 500.
Truly, in this league, Harry, the teams that you see really dictate what your win-loss record is going to be. And there are the haves and there are absolutely the have-nots. Bedford comes in 6-5. They've won their last 3, as you just mentioned, 5 of 7. They lost 1-0 to Londonderry, which is having a pretty decent year so far. Lost to Pinkerton 9-4. Pinkerton is 11-0 and really kind of boat racing everybody except for select teams. And then on the other side, you have Salem, which is 6-6, so you shorted them a couple wins. But Salem has a couple nice wins. BG, they beat 9-6, Concord 12-2. And right now in Division I, we have 3 teams that are on top of everybody. Pinkerton and Goffstown are both sitting 11-0. Exeter's 11-1. Their only loss, an 8-1 loss to Londonderry. And to tell you, it's like a mix and match up there. Keene was 4-0. They've dumped 7 of their last 8. And their first loss of the year, which really seems like it was where everything truly crumbled, a 17-0 loss to Pinkerton. And now all of a sudden, Keene is on an absolute tailspin. But Bedford will go and see them on Friday.
Teams are already on the field, so just a note to our studio, or Andrew back in the control room, we're going to postpone the underwriting mentions until the break in the inning, as the Blue Devils are coming up the bat already, and it will be the center fielder, Elias Mercedes, coming up the bat.
No rest for the wicked, I guess. We're right after it today. Our umpires in today's game, we got Brian Smith behind the plate and Jacob Buda out on the bases today, a 2-man crew. So, and as Harry mentioned, a beautiful afternoon for baseball. Standing room only here, but that's only because we don't have a whole lot of seats.
Mercedes with 37 at-bats, 10 hits, 1 home run, 4 RBIs, batting .270.
On the bump for the Bulldogs is Zach Papik, who's been a bright spot so far this season. Zach, an ERA of 1.22, 23 innings of work. He's allowed 4 earned runs and has struck out 18 as the junior Papik.
Contact made into right field, and a catch right there for Gilbert, and 1 down.
Ball was hit well off the bat. Gilbert ranged to his right just a little bit, made that catch, and for Papik, easy work, and you hope the same thing continues. Salem is the kind of team that can be sometimes difficult. It truly depends on who's in the program and who graduates, and the Bulldogs will face somebody they've seen a number of times today in Dom Toscano. So we will see how that pans out for the Bulldog bats today.
And here comes Aaron Masson, first baseman. Ball high, ball 1. Masson with 33 at-bats, 9 hits, a home run, 7 RBIs. He's .273.
There's a big drop-off in the bottom of the Salem order, so if Papik gets through about the first 5, it's kind of smooth sailing at that point as the fastball is taken for a strike, 1-1.
Papik's last outing against the South had a great one. He shut out the Nashua South Purple Panthers, 7 strikeouts in 6 shutout innings for Papik.
Tries the outside corner with a curveball. That misses, and the count moves to 2-1 on young Papik. Papik behind him on D. We'll set that for a second. He's working with Nate Duquette behind the plate. And he's got an infield of Jack Hinton in first, Landon Frangelo at second. Around at third is Jason Topp. The shortstop is Carter Crowley, and an outfield for the Bulldogs of, as I get this whole thing straight, Will Smith in left, Peter Suazo in center, and James Gilbert is around and right. That one fouled off on the left side into the woods. The count remains 3-2 on the number 2 batter here for Salem, Aaron Masson.
Papik sets, delivers, and he gets Masson down looking. Strikeout for Papik, second out for the Bulldogs. And coming up to bat now, the third hitter in the lineup is Cooper DeShane. 39 at-bats, 10 hits, no home runs, 7 hits, 256 average.
DeShane rolls one left side, top charges in, gets to about the mound, fires it over to Hinton at first base for out number 3. And for Zach Papik, 3 up, 3 down on the top of the first. We are through half an inning. It's Salem nothing and Bedford coming up. You're watching Bedford Bulldogs baseball on BCTV.
BCTV and WBNH thank our underwriters. Primary Bank, New Hampshire's bank for business. PrimaryBankNH.com. The Wicks Insurance Group, serving New Hampshire and the Bedford community with auto, home, life, and business insurance since 1984. TheWicksInsuranceGroup.com. Interim Healthcare of Manchester, personalizing care to help meet your unique health needs. InterimHealthcare.com. Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, your local brokerage boutique. Relationships built on trust. MrsNelsonsNeighborhood.com. Great New Hampshire restaurants. Food tastes better with family. Tbones.com or Copperdoor.com.
And welcome back to SAU Field. No score after half an inning. Bulldogs coming up to bat. And while we've got a moment, we want to welcome our viewers on Salem TV 6 who are enjoying this broadcast that we're sharing here on BCTV. Glad to have the Blue Devils fans along with us. I'm Harry Kozlowski. Lauren Fox here with me calling the game. Bill Jennings on camera. Andrew Fenn back in the studio.
We got the full crowd here today. Beautiful day for a ball game. And so if you are in Salem, we kind of wonder why you're not here, really. I mean, take a drive up 93 and join us.
Traffic's kind of rough right now. I was going to say it's only about a 30-minute ride, but at rush hour, it turns into about an hour and a quarter.
Fair enough. For the Bulldogs, their lineup, leadoff man Carter Crowley, a senior, heading to Holy Cross next year. He's at shortstop. Jason Top, the sophomore, at third base, batting second. James Gilbert in right field, hitting third. Nate Duquette, the catcher, is the cleanup man today. Jack Hinton heading to St. A's in the fall. Hinton playing first base, batting fifth. Peter Suazo, the senior, in center field. Zach Papik on the bump. He is hitting seventh. Landon Frangelo, the senior, is at second base. And Will Smith is around in left field and batting ninth.
Go ahead. I was going to say, speaking of Jason Top, he's on a bit of a tear. 2 RBIs in his last 3 games. 2, 2, and 2. Let's see if we can match that today.
Be nice to see it for this Salem Blue Devils team. Dom Toscano's on the hill. His battery mate behind the plate, Owen Doherty. In infield of Aaron Masson at first. Derek Boudou at second. Yvonne Colon at third. And Patrick Ross, the shortstop. And an outfield of Cooper DeShane in left. Elias Mercedes in center. And Kyle Giarusso is around in right.
And now Carter Crowley leading off here for the Bulldogs. Contact made, hit to left field, and played by Cooper DeShane, 1 down.
Now, they had Carter played pretty accurately. If you've seen him much at all, you know that a lot of his power is to left center, and he hit that ball fairly hard. He just got under it. So, but squared it up. And the Bulldogs, as it looks, have had some success in the past against Toscano. He is not a face that they are unfamiliar with. This is somebody they've seen, I believe, since his sophomore year, if not before.
Toscano with 17 innings pitched, 17 earned runs. That's a 7 ERA. Actually, most of the Salem lineup pretty heavy on the ERAs. Top with a hit down line drive into left field, caught there by DeShane. So back-to-back flyouts for the Bulldogs. They're down 2, and Jimmy Gilbert coming up to bat.
That's one of those classic ones that he hit right on the screws. It's about as hard as he will hit a baseball, but he wound up hitting it right at the left fielder, DeShane, and keeping him busy early. Has 2 outs, the first 2 batters.
Gilbert takes that pitch. Strike 1. He's hitting .297, 8 RBIs, 11 hits at 37 at-bats.
even at this point in the season, you look at 297 for Gilbert as the Bulldogs come into this one 6-5 as Gilbert cuts on an off-speed pitch and swings over it, count 0-2. But for these teams, that's not a really big sample size. And we talked about it the last broadcast we did. You go on a little bit of a tear, all of a sudden your average can change significantly. And the same thing goes with a pitcher. If you have one bad inning, it can really make the rest of the season look awful. And it also, that makes it tough on coaches too. They're trying to find the right lineup mix in about an 18-game season as Gilbert skies it to left field, and Cooper DeShane, this is your inning. All three nestle into his glove. 3 up, 3 down for the Bulldogs. We are through 1. We are scoreless heading to the top of the second. You are watching Bedford Bulldog Baseball on ECTV.
At the plate for the first time this game. Pitch is high for a ball. Correction, that's Owen Doherty, second baseman. 2-0 count, I believe.
I believe you're correct, and they just fixed the scoreboard.
Papik misses the mark there, 3-0.
Now, both teams in the first inning were swinging, no doubt. So Doherty comes up as a cleanup guy, watches the first 3 go by. That one didn't miss by much.
Well, he's got their second best hitting average, 310. 9 hits on 33 at-bats. Brush back there, he's going to take the base.
And the first runner of the game for either team. Are we doing these reads? We can hit these?
Yes, anytime.
All right, beautiful. BCTV and WBNH would like to thank our underwriters for supporting our live sports coverage. Primary Bank, the Wicks Insurance Group, Interim Healthcare of Manchester, Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, and Great New Hampshire Restaurants, T-Bones, or the Copper Door. I just saw that it said after the second inning. It's been a minute. First pitch upstairs to Kyle Giarrusso. He's pacing the Blue Devils in batting. 367, no homers, 8 driven in. Doherty with a very conservative lead at first as Giarrusso follows one back into the woods in the count. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now, I saw Bowden Smith walking around here somewhere, and he's back from his season at Plymouth State. Back in the old days, as a pickoff throw over to first base, almost nabs Doherty stumbling back into the bag. Jack Hinton thought he had him, but the throw was a little bit high. But regardless, on foul balls like that back into the woods, Bowden Smith, Henry Dubois would be chasing each other to try to grab those, or whichever pitcher, Charlie Cariello, as that throw back to first does not get Doherty, only gets his uniform dirty.
Hey Kyle, here we go, 1-7. Good boy, Kyle.
Foul ball called there for strike 2.
Kind of had a little bit of insight there into Giarrusso's hitting approach. The pitch was away. He waited on it about as long as he could and then took kind of a half swing and blooped it down the right field line and barely missed a single by about a foot. So
Yeah, that was close to being a lot of trouble.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
So Papik ahead. We'll see if what Billy Chapman mixes in here on this 1-2. Papik's off speed, hit to third base. Top gloves it to second to Frangelo for 1. He double clutches and throws over to first base trying to get Giarrusso. And he got him. He just not in the way that he meant to. He hit him on the ankle with the ball, and Jack Hinton walks over, tags him with the ball in case it was ruled that he turned in. But of course that would not be the ruling. Jack trying to be a little bit heads up. Bulldogs get a fielder's choice, 5-4, and that's the first out here in the top of the second.
Get another one, here you go. Hey!
Yeah, Frangelo hesitated just a moment at the second base. That was probably just enough for Giarrusso to reach.
What it looked like was he thought that he was not going to have a shot at the runner at first base, and I don't think Giarrusso runs all that well, and Frangelo looked over to first base and went, wait a second, I might have a chance to spin one here. And unfortunately, he who hesitates was lost in that case, and the runner's safe at first. And now Dom Toscano, the pitcher, will come up, batting 172, no homers, and 5 driven in. I will say this, our home plate umpire leaves no doubt in calling balls and strikes. There's no uncertainty there.
And Papek finds the strike zone once again. He leads 1-2.
Bill Jennings might get this reference. You may not as a hockey guy, but there was an umpire by the name of Dutch Rennert back in the 80s who you could be at the outer reaches of anywhere within any major league ballpark, as that one is an off speed taken over the outside corner for strike 3 called. Toscano goes down on strikes, but Rennert you could hear in any corner of any of those massive ballparks. He was so loud, and you wonder how a guy like that would be able to do basically a quarter of all the games in a season with that as his signature call.
What it must have been like for those catchers right next to him.
Yep.
Probably had to wear earplugs. Oh, that was close.
That one was close, and Giarrusso is diving back into the bag, and if not enough insult to be hit on his left leg on the relay from Frangelo on the ball that he hit. Now he wore one off his right lat, so we're going to have to get young Giarrusso some ice.
Ball low for ball 1. These Blue Devils had a big day yesterday, trampling the Concord Crimson Tide 12-2.
Ball skied in the air to right field. James Gilbert drifts to his left, gets underneath it, and that'll be out number 3 here in the top of the second. So the Salem Blue Devils get a leadoff walk. Strand his replacement, I should say, at first base, and we are through an inning and a half, still scoreless. We're watching Bedford Bulldog baseball on VCTV.
Bulldogs coming up to bat. It is now Nate Duquette coming up to bat. Nate hitting .290, 31 at-bats, 9 hits, 1 RBI. A little bit of cloud cover coming in now.
Yeah, I'll take it. Oh, I did enjoy the sun, but I'll take a little bit of cloud.
Ball low for ball 1.
It is the time of year here in the Northeast when we attempt to get all of our activity done in about 5 weeks, as Duquette hits a 2-hopper to the second baseman Boodoo, who goes down to 1 knee to glove it, throws over to first in time for the first out here in the bottom of the second. And feels like this time of year everything is going on. Like we have to do it from the time the weather gets good until the time the school gets out, and that's it. Everything's condensed, and then summer is just kind of this sort of lazy time, and it's certainly unique to up here.
Jack Hinton at bat. Jack had 2 RBIs in the 14-6 win against St. Thomas Aquinas. Actually, a lot of people had 2 RBIs in that game.
We saw it last year when the Bulldogs played St. Thomas up here. It was supposed to be a pitcher's duel, and it quickly turned into a slugfest, and it was one of those games that had a little bit of something for everybody.
There's a base hit there for Hinton.
Good piece of hitting by Jack. It was a fastball away, and he just stayed through it, drove it right up the middle. And we talked the last time through about his bat and the fact that we thought he was hitting with wood, and it almost sounds like wood. It is not. It is a composite bat. It is just cleverly disguised as a wood bat.
Peter Swazzle coming up now, 31 at-bats, 9 hits, one home run, 5 RBIs for Pete. Swings on the first pitch. Kind of fooled the center fielder, but the catch is made by Elias Mercedes.
I think he could have kept that on you.
So 5 outs into the game, Harry, we've had Hinton hit the ball hard, Swazo hit the ball hard. and Jason Top fit one right on the screws. It's like they have, in a lot of ways, figured out Dom Toscano. They just haven't found a whole lot of green yet.
Now the pitcher, Zach Papik, at the plate, hitting 188. Takes a strike there. Speaking of hitting, he was on the mound for the come-from-behind win on Monday. Bedford beating the North Titans 6-5. They fell behind 5-4 in the 6th and scored 2 in that 7th inning. And then Hinton shut the door on the Titans.
In a game like that, if you look back at the end of the season and you realize that one's in the loss column, that's not a recipe to get to the playoffs. And the Bulldogs right now sit as the 9 seed. Salem currently sits as the 10 seed as the fastball misses away and the catcher Doherty tries to pull it back in. But the trick to making the playoffs and the top 16 qualify, if it holds the same as last year, is you have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Maybe pick up 1 or 2 here and there as the off-speed catches the outside corner, evens up the count 2-2 on Papik. But you cannot afford to lose games that should be in the win column. So for them to get 2 in the 7th and pull out that win will be significant in a couple weeks.
Ball low. And the throw into center field gets away from the Blue Devils, and he's going to take himself 2 bases, get himself all the way into scoring position at third.
So the speedy Jack Hinton, of course, and you look at the whole sequence of events that went down there. Jack was not going. He saw the pitch was down and away. The catcher had moved down to his right, and Jack sort of got caught in no man's land and went. The catcher threw to second. Nobody was covering there. And as a result, Jack winds up taking third. We don't have a good vantage point on it as Patrick draws a walk, and now the Bulldogs have runners at the corners with 2 down. But all I can think is that one's going to probably go down as a stolen base E2. And now Papik draws the walk, and we'll see what Landon Frangelo can come up with for the Dogs.
Actually, that's exactly how he scored it.
There you go.
How about that?
Your guess would be that the second baseman's supposed to cover on that one, but I don't know if the throw is off the line where we are. And now Frangelo, cued it right off the end of the bat. Gets tagged out by the first baseman, Aaron Masson, for the 3rd out here in the bottom of the 2nd. So the Bulldogs get a hit and a walk and strand 2. We are through 2. It's still scoreless. You are watching Bedford Bulldogs baseball on BCTV.
Welcome back to SAU Field. We're in the top of the 3rd inning. No score between the Blue Devils and the Bulldogs. Thank you to our viewers on Salem TV6. Glad to have you along. Talk about our upcoming broadcasts. Our next baseball broadcast is on Friday, May 23rd at 4:30. The Merrimack Tomahawks will be here at SAU Field. And our next sports broadcast will be boys lacrosse against the Exeter Bluehawks.
I'm as confused as you are.
I believe that's coming up tonight, isn't it?
Is it really?
It says here the 14th. That's why
they're pretty busy.
Stunned me.
All right, yeah, I was looking at the same thing. So,
is that the right date? Maybe Andrew will let us know.
I don't even know. Yvonne Cologne batting for Salem as Papik misses away. That's ball 2 on Cologne at bat, hitting 138, no homers, and 3 driven in.
The cross game is on tonight.
Yeah, what threw me, I thought I was looking at today's date, and I'm thinking, oh, this must be today's game. Nope.
I still don't know. I can't keep track of you guys. It's tonight, Bill Jennings says he's
okay, so we're going to go right from baseball to lacrosse, so stay tuned for that.
There you go. Corey Munster Tiger is going to be a busy man. Fastball taken, strike outside corner, and the count 2-1 on Cologne. 8-9-1 coming up for Salem in this scoreless game here in the top of the 3rd. This one like the antithesis of the game that we had the other day, that you just could not get through innings. Fastball outside corner, 2-2 on Cologne.
You're not picking me up off the bum.
Papik kicks, deals, fastball swung on and missed, and that is strike 3 on Cologne, out number 1 here in the top of the 3rd.
That's his 3rd strikeout on the day. 1 an inning. And now we get to the bottom of the order. Derek Boodoo, second baseman.
That's where I was going. So you went
148 average, 27 at-bats, 4 hits, one home run, 7 RBIs.
Take that. Line drive up the middle, so
There he goes.
Voodoo's going to get a boost in his average and gets the first hit
Voodoo's
of the
got the
game.
voodoo.
He apparently does. He apparently does. Chasing down Hoodoo with Voodoo.
Chasing down that hoodoo there.
It's a good CCR song, yep. Voodoo on first, he's the number 9 batter, and so now we have Elias Mercedes coming to bat, who skied one to James Gilbert, his first time up. We got number 10 over to our right watching the game, Patrick Folis, or at least last year's number 10, and then this year's number 10 out there on the mound. Of course, Patrick finished up his freshman year at Assumption, and he is to his right, well, at least was, Aiden O'Connell. I think Billy Chapman would like to have those 2 arms in his pitching staff right now. Papik's 0-2 curveball is popped up right side. Long way to go for Gilbert, and that one will fall harmlessly in foul territory, and the count hangs on. 0-2 on Mercedes. Very defensive swing he took on that one.
Yeah, it landed in no man's land. No one could get near that ball.
There's a lot of foul territory in this ballpark. It's, you know, not like you're playing at Holman, but this one,
Gill.
yeah, Gill can be a little bit cavernous.
The endless foul zone.
It's funny, I was talking to somebody today about the field in Merrimack. They were talking about fields. They said, oh yeah, at my home field in high school, it was impossible to hit home runs. I said, yeah. They said, yeah, we didn't have a fence. And we started talking about Pinkerton, because Pinkerton has no fence. And of course, the last several years, you had Jackson Marshall there pitching, or who is now, as that one is waved at and missed by Mercedes for out number 2 here in the top of the third. But you had Jackson Marshall there, and the defense on Jackson was you played him 380 out. You didn't have all that far to go for it. And then the one that always tends to show up about once a year on the internet is these weird fields is Merrimack, where you have right field that cuts into the junior high school over there, or it's either a junior high or an elementary. You have a tree over there. If the ball hits the tree, as Papik's fastball misses outside ball 1, ball hits the tree, it's a home run. There's a fire hydrant out there that's marked. If it hits that, it's a home run. Moves over to center field, and then all of a sudden it goes basically to infinity. It's like 650 to get one out to left. So if you're a right-handed batter, you have no shot at getting a ball out to left field.
Yeah, you got to get it on Pacific Lake Road.
You really do have to get it out there. Hit it at the police station.
Aaron Masson at the plate. His count is 2-0. He struck out the last time he was up in the first.
Landon Frangela, you can hear him at second base, always saying something, as that off speed is off the glove of Duquette, but the base runner, Boodoo, did not take advantage of the miscue, and now the count 3-0 on Masson. Got just far enough away that you might have had a chance to head to second base if you had a decent secondary lead, but Boodoo is very conservative. I think you see guys in the over 50 league taking a bigger lead. I can say that as one of the guys over 50, and that one.
Another one gets away.
Yep, off the glove of Duquette, but no matter, it was ball 4. And Masson will trot down to first base. The second base runner of the inning here for the Blue Devils. And 2 outs. This game is scoreless here in the top of the third.
So Cooper DeShane up the bat. He ground out 5-3 in the first. 2 runners on for him.
Papik's first pitch, he kind of swords DeShane. Swung on and missed. That one now an official stat when you get the guy who doesn't really come through, the ball, doesn't snap the wrist. It almost looks like he's trying to cut something with a sword. And that one rolled over, hit to the left side of third base. And Papik off the mound pounces on it, but there's not a whole lot that he can do. It was softly hit, and DeShane runs well, so he steams down the line. Boodoo, of course, off on contact, as well as Masson. So the bases are now full, and Papik, the victim of about a 50-foot single that loads the bases. And these are the kind of things that can extend an inning. Of course, walking the number 2 guy, Masson, on 4 pitches gets you into a little bit more of a hole. That little 50-foot single, and now you're 1 pitch away from trailing 2 or 3 to nothing. And for Papik, you just got to lock down right now. The Bulldogs have not, to this point, solved Dom Toscano, and I think that's probably a little bit frustrating for them as well.
There's contact. Throw to first. A little high, but the play's made, so the Bulldogs get out of a jam there. Salem strands 3 on the ground out there by Owen Doherty. Still no score after 2.5. You're watching Bedford baseball on BCTV. Welcome back to SAU Field, bottom of the 3rd. Bulldogs are coming up. Will be Will Smith, Carter Crowley, and Jason Topp taking the plate at a minimum.
I like the optimism. Both teams still looking for a run. The Bulldogs had runners at the corners in the 2nd and left those 2 on, and Salem left 3 on base in the top half of the 3rd. So the teams have not been without chances, but the game has actually had a decent pace to this point.
And at the plate now, it's Will Smith, bottom of the order for the Bulldogs.
It's, I will say this, having been around the program as Will cuts on a fastball and misses, count 0-1, you look at numbers, and we talked about Patrick Folis wearing the same number as Zach Papik. Looking at 14, to me, is Cade Corbett, who is the catcher, graduated in 2022, was one of the first group that I coached when he was a freshman, and still one of my favorite players that I've coached in the program, absolute gamer. But, and even in Will's case, you look at kind of the slight body type. Cade was not a big dude. The 2 of them, if you squint a little bit, almost resemble each other.
Smith swings and makes contact, so it's strike 2. 1-2 the count. He's going to foul that one away. Smith, pretty good hitter for a number 9 spot, 333. Only had 18 at-bats. Got 6 hits, hit 1 homer.
The Billy Chapman recipe RBIs in this program has been you almost apprentice your leadoff guy in the number 9 spot.
There he goes, contact made into center field and caught by Elias Mercedes. So 1 down for the Bulldogs.
And what I mean when I say that is you had Carter Crowley several years ago batting 9th. Carter last year led off for the team and is doing so again this year. You had Ethan La Rochelle is another one who did the same for the Bulldogs. So it's you start out in the 9, speedy guy, good contact guy, put him in the bottom of the order, and he's not getting as many at-bats. He might have 12.5 fewer at-bats than than the guys at the top of the order by the end of the season, but at least what you get out of him is an opportunity that when your 2, 3, 4 come up later in the game, now the table is set for them.
Crowley makes contact. It rolls to Boudou. Throws it to Masson at first for the out. 4-3.
And Carter's going to be a little bit frustrated by that one. He just sort of rolled over on it. When we've talked about this before, when you see him and he's going well, he hits the ball hard to the left center field gap. So it's an opposite field approach. And when he presses a little bit, you tend to see him do what he just did, which is roll over on one to the right side. And so he knows he's an experienced hitter. He knows what he needs to do. He knows how to fix that problem. And what happens on May 14th, which you told me that's what today's date is, what happens on May 14th isn't quite as important. If you're Carter, what you're looking for is what you're doing that first week of June. And if you're on fire at that point, you can carry a team to a playoff title.
Jason Topp now with a count of 1-1. He flew out to left field last at bat. Now count goes to 2-1.
I'm going to give him a lined out to left on that one. If for those who are familiar with the app Game Changer, Jason scorches that one up the middle for a single. So he's hit the ball on the screws twice as the young sophomore Topp. He's now 8 for 26 in the season, but the Game Changer app gives you what's called a quality at bat if it's what's determined to be a hard hit ball, and it calls a line drive a hard hit ball and a fly out not a hard hit ball. So, and it's funny, some of the teams at the college level will, in the old saying, you get what you manage, they will reward hard hit balls as Gilbert lines one to center field, top touches second, he'll head to third base without stopping and slide in, and now the throw back over to first almost gets James lackadaisically heading back into the bag. But this game you can't congratulate yourself more than about half a second. Now the Bulldogs trying to put a little bit of two-out lightning together.
Yeah, some good aggressive base running there by Jason Toff. He didn't slow down at all. He thought he could beat the throw to third, and he did.
That's one of those old, the Angels were the first one to do it in Major League Baseball. Joe Madden had looked at the numbers and said, wait a second, that first to third should be a pretty automatic thing, the exception being a ball hard hit to left, but we're trying to get a guy to third base. Now, the prevailing wisdom is you don't want to make the third out at third, but in that instance, if you're able to somehow force an error or move a guy to third base, you can get something done. In this case, what happens is Nate Duquette hits it right on the screws at the shortstop, and Patrick Ross gets it to Derek Boudou for the force out, and that will end things here in the bottom of the third. So we are through 3. We're still scoreless. You are watching Bedford Bulldogs baseball on BC TV as well as Salem Television Channel 6.
Welcome back to SAU Field, top of the 4th. No score between the Blue Devils and the Bulldogs. And Kyle Girusso at the plate. Takes a strike from Papik. Girusso reached base on a fielder's choice in the second inning. Contact right there into center field. Base hit there for Girusso. So he gets on base twice now.
Tell you what, he finds a way to get on base. And the last time, of course, he got on base was struck a couple times by the ball. Once running down the line, once on a pickoff. And I think he's probably hoping to sustain a little bit less collateral damage this time out there.
Yeah, don't take such a big lead. Papik won't be tempted to tenderize him with the ball.
Oh, boy. There's a hockey guy talking right there now.
Swing into center field. That's going to drop actually into right field. So another base hit there. Dom Toscano, who struck out last time, gets on base and advances Girusso to second base. So 2 runners on, no outs here for the Blue Devils. Good start.
And that's a case, if you're Papik, of just leaving a ball right out over the heart of the plate. Toscano didn't really have to do a whole lot of work. He just threw his barrel on it, dinked it into right field, got himself a base hit. But for Zach, you have to throw things with a little bit more movement, and you really, if I was grading that one, that's one where you're trying to throw a get-me-over on an 0-0 pitch when you need to be competing on every single pitch. That one taken for a strike over the outside corner, but again, you need to kind of, in Papik's case, mix things up a little bit and go after guys. Compete with your arm, but you also have to compete with your brain.
So Patrick Ross at the plate. Takes that ball looking, count to 1-1. Ross flew out to right field in the second inning.
I think ordinarily, too, you might consider here having Ross lay down a bunt, move up the runners 90 feet, scoreless game, top of the 4th. But the 2 guys after Ross in the lineup, as that one's fouled off and the count goes to 1-2, are hitting 138 and 148 respectively. So there's not really a situation that you're super confident in the guys who are right behind him in the lineup.
Ross sails that one behind the backstop. To the baseball graveyard. That one made contact, so he swung, but no strike. Stays alive. 1-2.
We have seen this in the past with Salem, and I don't know the inner workings of their program, but when we saw Aiden O'Connell over there, something that crossed my mind, he was pitching against Salem years ago. It was his senior year, so 23, or his senior year here, which was 23, and some of the guys in the lower portion of Salem's lineup did a really good job. Is that one's taken inside for ball 2 to Ross. They did a very good job of extending at bats, and not with taking these massive hacks. All they were trying to do was foul balls off. And you look and you say, man, this guy's hitting 130 and he's got 8 pitches in the at bat. But when you're looking at the numbers, as Ross hits that one hard to the right center field gap.
Score a run.
Yep, Gilbert fields it on 2 hops. He'll get it in, and the throw to the plate is not in time. So coming in to score is Giarusso from second base, and heading all the way to third base is Toscano, and that'll make it 1-0 Salem. But they did a very good job in that game of running up the pitch count that O'Connell was dealing with, and then the next thing you know, you're like, all right, it's the 6th inning, and he's got to come out of the game. We have to go to the bullpen, and it's all of a sudden a different game. Now the Bulldogs wound up winning that one, but if you're the defensive team, you got to find a way to put guys away and not let them extend at bats. And Ross was able to do that with a foul ball and ultimately won the at bat with a single to right.
Here's Ivan Colon, struck out in the 3rd. You know, I assume a lot of these players learn these things, these tricks from their Little League days at Salem. Excellent program, just like Bedford. Very competitive Little League program down in Salem.
Probably, although sometimes when you're in Little League, you want to take big hacks. Everybody wants to hit it over that little 200-foot fence. So that's part of it, but I think there's also an art to fouling balls off, like Dustin Pedroia was able to do it. And sometimes if you are a player whose average isn't that great and you have the ability to extend at bats and you have the ability to run up a pitcher's pitch count, you're very valuable to a team. If particularly at this level where, you know, once a guy gets right around 100, you're typically pulling him out. That one, a nice slider from Papik, taking over the outside corner, count 1-2.
Here we go, Nate. Here we go, Nate.
No outs, 1 run in here for the Blue Devils.
Runner from first going. Duquette had a notion, pump fake to second base and held on to the ball. So stealing second, Patrick Ross. Toscano will hang on at third. And that one, I don't know what the play was that was on, but having seen Toscano he's not burning up the base pass necessarily. That might be a situation where if you're the Bulldogs, you want to nab that runner at second base and get Papik out there. The 2-2 now taken inside. The count runs full on Cologne. Papik's got to be careful here, but you also don't want to put the number 8 guy on who came into the game hitting 138 on base. You got to just go right after him. The payoff pitch taken for called strike 3 over the outside corner for out number 1 here in the top of the 4th inning.
5th strikeout of the game there for Papik. Gets the first out of the inning, and now Derek Boudou comes on, who got on first base with a base hit, made it all the way to 3rd, got stranded in the 3rd inning.
Just do that Boudou that you do so well. Papik tried the outside corner with a curveball, missed down and away. The count 1-0.
My time.
Timeout here. Little equipment adjustment for Duquette by Coach Billy Chapman. While we've got a moment here, a pause in the game, I'd like to extend congratulations to Lauren Fox, along with Corey Munster-Tiger, picking up a National American Community Media Award for the call of the Bedford girls basketball championship game last year. So now you have a national award to toss on the pile with all your state awards.
It's kind of crazy. Thank you. Thank you for nominating us. Like, these things we know nothing about. The only reason that we know anything about them and keep winning them is because you keep putting us out there for them. So as that one smashed on one hop to top to home plate to Duquette. Now they have Toscano on a run down who gets it to top for 3rd, and he'll tag out the runner. So 5-2-5 on that fielder's choice. Good play for the Bulldogs. Wind up getting Toscano hung up. And Patrick Ross will hold on right at second base. Boodoo will be at first, but I'll tell you what, you'd rather have runners at first and second and 2 outs and no run across than being down 2-0 there. So nice play by the sophomore Jason Topp to snag that ball and then get Toscano into that rundown.
Back to the top of the order now with Elias Mercedes. Struck out in the third, flew out to left in the first. He's got 2 base runners on here with 2 outs. Good contact there. That could score a run.
That one stroked to right. Gilbert makes a play on the ball, throws it high toward home plate, and it winds up going over Duquette's head all the way to the backstop. And Papik not backing up on that one. That's got to be your first move, is to back up home. James kind of threw it over everybody, the cutoff, the catcher, the whole 9 yards, and so that'll make it 2-0 Salem. And the Blue Devils now have runners on second and third with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning, and the Bulldogs now trailing 2-0 in a play that they would probably rather have back.
Now Aaron Masson at the plate. Runners in scoring position, 2 of them. 2-0 is the score. Blue Devils in the lead. 2 outs. Ball high, ball 1.
Papik not out of the woods yet. He's given up a couple sharp singles here in this inning. First to Giarusso. Toscano with a little flare into right. Ross singled to right. That one a bit of a line drive as well. And then this last one off the bat of Mercedes brings home a run. And now Salem still threatening. 2 outs in the top of the 4th. And the batter Masson will request and be granted timeout as Papik spins and considers a move to second base to get Mercedes. Papik right around 60 pitches. The Salem Game Changer app updating everything for us, so we appreciate that on their end. Now on a ground ball right side to Frangelo. Gobbles it up over to first in time, out number 3 in the top of the 4th inning, but Salem winds up getting 3 hits, or 2, that's not even correct, 2 runs on the strength of 3 hits or 4 hits and leaving 2. We are through 3.5. It is Bedford chasing 2 against Salem. The Blue Devils lead at 2-0. You're watching Bedford Bulldog Baseball on BCTV.
Welcome back to the bottom of the 4th inning. Bulldogs trail 2-0. Jack Hinton at the plate. Had a base hit in the second, got all the way to third before getting stranded there. Takes the ball high, ball 1.
Bulldogs second time through the order against Toscano. Hit the ball well, got a pair of hits in the bottom of the 3rd inning, but they need to cash some runs in. Much to their dismay, they're now chasing 2 against the Salem pitcher who came in allowing 17 earned runs in 17 innings for a clean 7 ERA, although he's shrunk that number a little bit today.
That one misses the 3-0 the count. Sorry, go ahead.
You know, we did the game that they lost to Trinity, and they're trailing here today 2-0. They're not going to have us back if they lose this game. We will be forever banned. Jennings is laughing. I'm serious.
We're going to have to light a cigar for Jobu.
Right. Exactly. So Hinton draws a walk, and that's a good start. The stat, we actually tracked it one year, was the leadoff walk actually scores 70% of the time. So, and this was not in Bedford baseball we tracked it. We tracked it over a 100-game independent ball season, so it is borne out. And no, we did not have anything better to do. There was actually, we had a season ticket holder who wrote a computer program that tracked these things for us. Suazo, 2 hops to second base, 4, 6, 3, in time to get Suazo, and he is no slouch on the bases, runs very well. So a double play turned here by the Blue Devils winds up negating that leadoff walk, and now Zach Papik will stride to the home plate with the bases empty and 2 outs. So frustrating when you get that little crack in the door and you think that you might have an opportunity, and then almost immediately a tailor-made double play ball. I will say it was a nice feed by the second baseman, Boudou, a little backhand feed to his shortstop, Ross, who, very nice turn of that double play.
So I just corrected that, 4-6-3.
It is 4-6-3. Saw one of the best 4-6-3 double plays I've ever seen watching the Royals game the other night, and I'm probably the only person who is watching this game who saw it, but hard ground ball, not even a ground ball, up the middle, one hop smashed by snagged by Michael Massey, the Royals second baseman, going up the middle, fields it. As he's rolling over onto his left side, flips it to the shortstop covering. Garcia is the shortstop, stutter steps, somehow touches the base, gets it over to first on one hop to Pasquantino, the first baseman, who makes a full extension stretch and pick to get out number 3. All 3 of the guys involved in the double play made web gems, and it all happened that it was all wrapped into one beautiful double play.
Papik's count at 2-2 here. Nice stroke of the ball here. It looks like it could be trouble.
There we go, Pap.
Lands in center field. You know, why couldn't that happen before the double play?
Because this is baseball. In order to get it to work, you have to have some big hits and string them together a bit. Some action down in the bullpen for the Bulldogs. We have Peter Suazo getting loose, but don't know how far into that warm-up routine he'll get. Again, Papik,
You got it? Because I'm on the other side.
only right around 60 pitches. We'll see what the Salem game changer has him at. For Dom Toscano, he's certainly he's out there working, but he's not working all that hard. By their count, Toscano's got in the low 40s of pitches, right around 43.
Frangillo pops it up and caught by Owen Doherty, and that's going to do it. Bulldogs strand a runner, and they walk away from this inning scoreless. So after 4 complete, it's Salem 2, Bedford nothing. You're watching Bedford baseball on BCTV. Welcome back to SAU Field. Top of the 5th. Salem Blue Devils lead 2-0. Don't forget, in about 30 minutes from now, it's going to be boys lacrosse. Exeter's Blue Hawks come to Bedford at BHS Stadium. That starts at 6 p.m. It'll be on Channel 8 here on BCTV.
We're going to have 2 games going at the same time.
Actually, the way this game's going, we may have maybe done by the time lacrosse is ready to start.
Don't jinx it. If you start talking about a fast game, we're going to extra innings.
So at the plate now,
I've lived that enough.
Cooper DeShane
Oh, yeah.
at the plate. Ball low, and that's 2-0. DeShane base hit in the 3rd, grounded out 5-3 in the 1st.
I will never forget, it was 21 years ago, walking into the ballpark in Lincoln, Nebraska and saying, I need a fast game tonight. Like we had come off a really long homestand, just exhausted. I need a fast game tonight. All right. And 17 innings later,
Oh,
we were the victim of a walk-off wild pitch and lost 8-7.
sorry.
And it was testament. I was working as that one's fastball taken for a strike over the outside corner. I was broadcasting for a minor league baseball team in Kansas City at that point.
The T-Bones.
It was the T-Bones. We had a good collective personality on that team and ran off 8 wins right after that. It was a team that could have folded and just decided, nope, we're just going to keep going. So it's a weird thing in baseball because you have a bunch of actions that are done by one player that add up into collective things. But if you don't have the right culture and guys believing in themselves, it doesn't work. If you have guys who believe in themselves, all of a sudden things get contagious pretty quickly. And not hearing a ton of energy right now from the Bulldog dugout, which you really Love to hear that supporting Zach Papik in this situation, trying to get him through this top of the fifth.
Papik's got the count full now. Duchesne, let's see what the money pitch does here. Contact made, played by the shortstop. Throw to first is in time. Crowley to Hinton for the first out.
Now that's a big time shortstop play that Carter made. Ranged far to his right, backhanded, and even at the college level, you'll see guys who will one-hop that ball over there. And Carter with that very strong throw deep in the hole, making that throw a 6-3 putout. And Jack Hinton, of course, played third base a lot for the Bulldogs last year, but you look at his frame on that one, he's 6'3", and that makes Carter Crowley's job a little bit easier, having that big target to throw to.
Here's Owen Doherty. Grounded out in the third inning. Was thrown out on a fielder's choice in the second. Ball outside. Count goes to 2-0.
Okay.
By the Salem game changer count, Papik right around 65 pitches, so may see a bit of a throwback game, and then you may have both starters go deep into the game. And we are here on the top of the fifth. The Bulldogs chasing two. They gave up a pair in the fourth on the strength of 4 Salem Blue Devil hits. But they're going to have to get it done with the bats eventually.
Count goes to 3-0 here with one out. Doherty, I'm not sure if that was a ball or if it was third strike that got away, and Doherty runs for first.
It was
away, he gets on base.
It was ball 4, and Landon Frangelo at second base reminding Nate Duquette it is a live ball. And for those where we're standing, you might not quite get a grasp of it, but there's about 50 feet back there behind home plate. If you are a catcher and anything gets by you, you're in deep trouble. So Nate had to hustle after that one for fear that Doherty's one-out walk might convert itself into a one-out, for all intents and purposes, double. And Billy Chapman, as he walks out to the mound, does the come here sign to Peter Suazo, and Suazo will come in from the outfield, head into pitch. Zach Papik will make his way into the dugout, and the Bulldogs will have some defensive changes as Aiden Farnham heads out into center field.
No, nobody. Here he comes. Bye-bye.
BCTV's live channels and on-demand content are now easier to access at your fingertips than ever before. Bedford Community Television is available for free download on Apple iOS and Android. Download the Bedford Community Television app from your app store today.
So the final line for Zach Papik: strikes out 5, gives up 3 bases on balls.
You want me to give it to you without math?
Yeah.
Papik goes 4 1/3, allows 6 hits, walks a pair, and strikes out 5. As of right now, he's allowed 2 runs, both earned, but there is a chance that the runner on first base, Duchesne, may be his, so he's responsible for him.
Did that not count as a walk?
It was a walk on yes, but Papik's responsible for him if he winds up coming
I'm just saying that he gave up 3 bases on balls instead of 2.
He did, that's correct. The game changer was a shade slow. 72 pitches he threw, 40 were for strikes. So a solid outing for Papik, but victim of those 4 base hits in the top of the 4th inning that have gotten us to where we are with the Bulldogs now trailing 2-0.
And now he's on the hook for the 2-0 score. The Bulldogs need to start putting some runners on base here to erase that.
As we've seen, this is a team that can explode at any time, but you don't want to wait until it's too deep into a ball game to do that.
Suazo taking his warm-ups. Sun is back out here, now even lower to the horizon.
It is certainly a beautiful day, though. If you looked at the forecast going into the day, you would have thought cloudy, and there was a point in time this morning when it was sunny, and all of a sudden the clouds came in and it was 50 degrees, and you say, well, I guess this is really what spring's going to feel like. And then, I don't know, we gave it a couple hours and the what we would call the marine layer out in California burned off. The next thing you knew, it felt like spring again. So it'll be Kyle Giarrusso coming to bat for the Blue Devils with a runner on first and 1 out. Peter Suazo out there on the hill. And dealing with Owen Doherty over there at first base as well. It is an interesting fashion statement in the game of baseball that you used to have guys with the high socks. And we have, over the years, had a number of players who wore socks high. If you look at Doherty over at first base, he is wearing socks that go about halfway up the shin, and now he's going. And Duquette has a hard time handling the strike that came in from Suazo. And the socks apparently are there for speed as Owen Doherty steals second base, and the count now goes to 1-1 on Kyle Giarrusso, who is 1 for 2 in today's game. Singled and scored back in the fourth. Doherty dancing off of second base. That one cut on and missed by Giarrusso, and the count 1-2 on him. Now, if you're Doherty in this situation, you can draw a little bit of attention to yourself and give your teammate Giarrusso a chance to punch one through the right side of the infield here. Suazo's curveball fought off by Giarrusso, fouled away. We were scoreless until the top of the fourth. Salem plated 2 there. The Bulldogs still looking for their first run against Dom Toscano. Suazo checks. Giarrusso decides he doesn't want to keep waiting on Suazo, so he asked for time. Is granted it by home plate umpire Brian Smith.
Ball 2 strikes.
Suazo sets, checks, now deals. Curveball, hit hard down the third base line. Foul ball, and the count will hang on 1-2.
Looks like Suazo took a little off that ball. A little bit of a change up there. And Giarrusso got to it a little early. That's why he fouled it off.
That little hook, though, and I think you'd prefer that he miss a little bit lower than that. He got a bit too much of the plate. Suazo deals, fastball fouled off. Giarrusso doing a great job this at-bat, staying alive. And what we were talking about earlier with Salem and their ability to extend at-bats, and what we're seeing right now with Giarrusso, I believe he is now on pitch number 6 of the at-bat. Suazo checks the 1-2. This is down and away. Giarrusso discerning at the bat. And the count out 2-2 on him. Giarrusso leading the team in batting, hitting .367 coming into today's game, 1 for 2, so that'll go up a bit. Now the 2-2, hit hard, one hop to top, off his glove, fielded by Crowley at shortstop, and nothing he can do except pump fake and hope that the runner from second rounds too far. But Jason was playing even with the bag, and that line drive was smashed right at him. Did a nice job to get in front of the ball, so that one will be a base hit. And now that'll bring up Dom Toscano.
Just 1 out on the Blue Devils here. They've got 2 on base.
Silver lining for the Bulldogs on that one was that the runner on second base, Doherty, was not able to move, so now the Bulldogs have a forced entity square base available to them.
That one in for a strike. Toscano struck out in the second, had a base hit, but got caught in a rundown between home and third in the 4th inning.
That one kind of a tough one. I'm not sure why they had him going on contact on that one. It was a ball hit right to the third baseman top, and not a whole lot needed to be done to retire Toscano on that play, but cost Salem an opportunity in the inning.
foot on both of them.
And now the Blue Devils with runners on first and second, one out here in the top of the fifth, trying to increase their 2-0 lead.
All right, this one behind that. Oh, beautiful.
Not hearing a whole lot from the home dugout. That one is roped to center field, and Farnham going back, can't glove it. It's going to get all the way to the wall. The runners had to hang on a bit, so Doherty will wind up scoring from second base and only moving up 90 feet on a ball that went all the way to the center field wall is Gianrusso. Toscano will have himself the longest single he will probably ever have in his life. About 360 out there to center, and he got...
Are we counting that as a base hit or as an error?
100% it is a base hit. Once you see the numbers on the jersey of the center fielder and you don't see him turn and settle under the ball, that's a base hit. And he left his feet.
Even though it hit his glove.
It doesn't matter. Left his feet attempting to make that play. So Toscano got all of that one, and the Bulldogs still have a force out at any square one, and they're thinking that the runner Doherty had missed third base, so Suazo stepped on the mound, stepped off, threw it over the top, trying to get Doherty on appeal, unsuccessfully. And now that'll bring up Patrick Ross, who is 1 for 2 in today's game. Suazo's curveball misses low, 1-0 the count. It's interesting to watch the base runners. You looked at Gianrusso, he was hanging awfully close to first base. You wouldn't typically tag from first and go to second. If you're Gianrusso in that situation, if you're watching a major league game, you would see that runner in that first-second situation almost to second base, and he was not. And then Doherty was rounding third base like his hair was on fire, rightfully so. I mean, he should have been tagging up on that play, trying to get to third, but still, you'd expect a little bit different. 6, 4, 3, it's in the dirt, gets past Hinton, and coming around to score from second base is Gianrusso on that fielder's choice. So if you are keeping track of such things, Patrick Ross reaches base on a fielder's choice, and the error made by Frangelo on the throw is what winds up allowing Gianrusso to get home, and now the Bulldogs are chasing forward, trailing 4-0 here in the top of the fifth. For Suazo, that one pretty much a pitcher's best friend, the kind of double play ball that you want. Hard hit. Crowley had every opportunity to start it, got that out, and Frangelo probably wishes he had that throw back, but...
Yeah, he put the throw in the dirt and took a funny hop, and Hinton couldn't adjust. Got away from him, run scores, so it's 4-0 deficit now for the Bulldogs, and at the plate is Yvonne Colon, 2 strikeouts in the 3rd and 4th inning. He's got a strike on his count right now. Now it's 1-1.
Yep.
Every time I look at that name, I want to read Yvonne Calderon. For those who follow such things, that's a Chicago White Sox player from the 80s that nobody has probably thought of.
Except the Pope.
Yes, the Pope has thought of Yvonne Calderon, big White Sox fan. That one laced up the middle. Farnham will field it on a couple hops, and the runner Ross will hold on at third base on that single. Another base hit for Cologne, or the first base hit of the game, I should say, for Cologne. He is now 1 for 3 in the game. And Salem, giving the Bulldogs a bit of fits. They've had 4 hits in each of the last 2 innings. They now have 8. And with runners on first and third, they lead Bedford 4-0 here in the top of the fifth. Nate Duquette, the catcher, will step out in front of home plate, quickly give signs to the team so that they know what they're doing in the event that Cologne takes off to second base or decides to get himself into a rundown to try to get that runner on third, Ross, home. But ordinarily we'd hear a little bit of sound coming from the dugout, from the field. It is like a library out there right now. And having coached in that dugout before, I will tell you that there are several people who are not too happy about that fact right now. So for the Bulldogs, it is time to find a little bit of energy. This is a game that you will need late in the season. It's a game that you're going to need for, of course, seeding purposes, but there are also some tough games remaining on the schedule for Bedford, and you got to find a way to at least get the energy level up and try to win whatever you can in this game. Now, of course, you may not win. You're chasing 4 runs, but you're trying to, at this point, salvage something.
Boudou got brushed back on a changeup there by Suazo. Count is 1-1, 2 outs. Bulldogs trail 4-0. Throw to first, on time. Just keeping Yvonne Colon honest there.
You got to be careful doing that, though. The risky run is you throw it away, and the runner just comes home from third as that one's fouled back to the screen by Boudou, and the count now 1-2. Boudou 1 for 2 in the game today. Came in hitting 148 with a homer.
Having a good game.
He is having himself a good game and doing well at second base so far. Started a double play for the Blue Devils and has made a couple other nice plays on grounders.
And you got Salem runner there at third base. Definitely don't want to make it a 5-0 game here with 2 outs. Suazo needs to bear down here and get that last strike.
The 1-2 cut on and missed, and that'll do it for Boudou. But again, for Salem, they get a pair of runs on 4 hits, wind up leaving 2. We are through 4.5. Bedford's got some work to do. They trail 4-0. We'll come back from the bottom of the 5th inning. You're watching Bedford Bulldogs baseball on BCTV.
BCTV and WBNH thank our underwriters. Primary Bank, New Hampshire's bank for business. PrimaryBankNH.com. The Wicks Insurance Group, serving New Hampshire and the Bedford community with auto, home, life, and business insurance since 1984. TheWicksInsuranceGroup.com. Interim Healthcare of Manchester, personalizing care to help meet your unique health needs. InterimHealthcare.com. Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, your local brokerage boutique. Relationships built on trust. MrsNelsonsNeighborhood.com. Great New Hampshire restaurants. Food tastes better with family. Tbones.com or Copperdoor.com.
Bottom of the 5th inning, Bulldogs trail 4-0. And their bottom 2 of the lineup coming up. Landon Frangillo up next. Afterwards, it's Will Smith, and in the top of the order, Carter Crowley. As we were just saying here.
Hey, let's go.
Did we have a change? So it's Will Smith coming up?
Yes. Frangillo ended the bottom of the 4th inning. He popped out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Had a chance to speak to Will's brother, Bowden, who is cruising around here somewhere right now after his sophomore season at Plymouth State. Will cranks it up the middle, and that will be hit number 5 for the Bulldogs with nobody out here in the top or in the bottom of the 5th inning. And for Bedford, now is the time. You got to figure out a way to get this offense back on track. It has been a tough day for them with the bats. They've gotten guys on base. They've left 5 to this point. And action in the bullpen, or whatever amounts to the bullpen over there in left field. It is slow moving action going down to the pen. Crowley hits it hard up the middle. Shortstop touches second, over to first for 1, and a 6 unassisted over to 3 double play. And the second time in as many innings that the Bulldogs have gotten a leadoff man on base and had him erased almost immediately. And now 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. And that'll bring up Jason Topf.
Hey, go to Grog.
Jason has hit the ball well today, lined out to left back in the 1st inning, and singled up the middle in the 3rd. The Salem JV team arriving here after their game. over at Riley Field. Jason hits a hard one-hopper back at Toscano, who sprints over to first base, underhands it to his first baseman in time. And the Bulldogs trying to answer back there, but really struggled with it. Wind up sending 3 to the plate, and 3 outs are recorded. We are through 5. It is Salem 4, Bedford nothing. You are watching Bedford Bulldogs baseball on BCTV.
Back at SAU Field for 6th inning action, Salem leads Bedford 4-0. We at BCTV and WBNH would like to thank our underwriters for supporting our live sports coverage. They include Primary Bank, the Wicks Insurance Group, Interim Healthcare of Manchester, Nelson Real Estate of New Hampshire, and great New Hampshire restaurants like T-Bones and the Copper Door.
Some defensive changes for the Bulldogs. Jason Topp taking the bump for Bedford. James Gilbert moving in from right field to play first base. Peter Suazo going from the mound to right field. Aiden Farnham will stay in center. And Jack Hinton moving from first over to third as Topp takes the hill. We can now give you a final line on Zach Papik because he was dinged for that final run. Papik, 4 1/3 innings, allowed 6 hits, 3 runs, all 3 earned. Walked 3 and struck out 5. And we can close the book on Suazo too. 2/3 of an inning, he allowed 3 hits, 1 run. It was an earned run and struck out 1. So, and now Jason Topp on the mound. On the flip side for Salem, Dom Toscano has struck out 5, or it has thrown 5 innings, I should say. Has allowed 5 hits, no runs, and walked a pair. And in a bit of a statistical anomaly, has yet to strike out anybody. He's only thrown 52 pitches through 5. The type of game that Frank Tenano would have been proud of.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Count 1 and 2 now on the leadoff man, Elias Mercedes. Mercedes hits one to Crowley, who backhands going to his right and over to first to Gilbert in time, out number 1 in the top of the 6th. Nice play, Carter.
Don't forget, 6 o'clock over on Channel 8, it's boys lacrosse as the Bulldogs host the Exeter Blue Hawks. That's starting over at BHS Stadium right about now.
Glad you told me because I had already forgotten.
In case somebody wants, feeling a little down with the score 4-0.
Yes. And you get to hear an award-winning broadcaster in Corey Munstertiger over on that one.
Indeed.
So there's that, which is nice. Tops 1-0, taken for a strike. Home plate umpire Brian Smith giving that one at the knees, 1-1.
Both you and Corey are going to need to rent one of those storage lockers for all your awards.
Man, I'm not much for those. I take pictures of the certificates and then I generally recycle them. It's good for me to remember.
If they're not solid, then you don't keep them around.
Well,
okay.
yeah.
Count is at 2-2 now to Aaron Masson. Grounded out, took a walk, struck out in the first.
It's funny to watch Masson as he makes his way down to first base, and you see guys and they remind you of guys, I guess, which is a sign that I've watched way too much baseball over the years, but to watch Masson come out to first base in every bit of his mannerism, he looks like former Bedford first baseman Maddox Muir. Body type is absolutely analogous as he watches fastball over the outside corner, strike 3 call. Now Maddox, a right-handed hitter, not a lefty batter, and Jason Topp happy to set down Masson no matter what he looks like, who's now 0 for 3 on the day, and that'll bring up Cooper DeShane, who is 1 for 3 in today's ballgame. Interesting when you look at the Salem team, 1 through 4 have not done much of the damage for Salem. The ones that have absolutely frustrated the Bulldogs have been 5, 6, 7, Giarrusso, Toscano, and Ross, who Giarrusso, I understand, came in hitting 367. Toscano came in hitting 172, and he's got 2 knocks on the game.
Swing and a miss, strike 1. Count it goes to 1-1 here. in the dirt. 2-1 on Cooper Duchesne.
Looking at Jason out there, who's a sophomore, he pitches with a lot of confidence. And you have to have that if you are going to step on that mound and throw that 5-ounce piece of leather at somebody else. And his battery mate Duquette trying to help him out. Bottom half of the strike zone, unable to do so. But with those two, Brandon Lung, you have a number of younger players that are already making an impact for the Bulldogs, as that one's fouled off into the forest. Very surprised Bowden Smith was here, and I'm surprised that Bowden was not running after it, but old habits die hard.
Into the swamp, the swampy graveyard of the baseballs.
I mean, Lyme disease, I don't know, not really bad.
Yeah, if you pick it off quick enough, there's a straight swing and a miss.
On that nice slider from Topf, and that will do it for the top of the 6th inning. The Bulldogs have work to do, though. They have 6 outs to get 4 runs. Through 5.5, it is Salem 4, Bedford 0. You are watching Bedford Bulldogs baseball on BCTV.
Jack Hinton down 4-0. First pitch there from Dom Toscano, still on the hill. 1-0.
They got their work cut out. Toscano has only thrown 53 pitches now, so he has not been made to work all that hard. As James Gilbert hits that one high and deep to right, giving chase to right fielder Gio Russo, can't get it all the way to the wall. Gilbert will stroll into second base with a leadoff stand-up double to start things off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And who knows, maybe that's the spark the Dogs need to get things going.
Now it's just a few feet away from being a home run.
At this point, I would rather have that action, and now we have an opportunity to have guys move around and start a rally instead of one that could be the beginning and the end of the rally. So I will take this. Carter Crowley warming down in the bullpen for the Bulldogs, but I kind of like what I saw from Jason Topf in the top of the 6th. So I think Billy Chapman may be tempted to leave him out there, but we have also, over the years, I still remember, God, what year was it? Maybe 22 or 20. I think it was the 22 season. They were trailing Merrimack 5-0. Scored 6 in the bottom of the 6th inning, and wound up winning, shutting Merrimack down on the top of the 7th. So that type of thing could happen again here, and with these bats, it absolutely could happen. But you got to do it one guy at a time. You're not going to score 4 with Duquette batting and Gilbert on second. Although Nate hit that one high and deep to left, but the left fielder still drifting back, and he can't get it. That one's all the way to the wall. Gilbert had to watch and make sure that the ball wasn't caught, and Duquette will wind up at second base. I'm
surprised Gilbert didn't get waved home there. He probably could have made it.
You don't want to spoil, chasing 4, you don't want to lose him there. So second and third, you can do a lot more, particularly with a batter like Hinton coming up and Suazo on deck. He doesn't count for extra, so if his run doesn't quite matter yet, and we have a pinch runner coming to the ball game for the Bulldogs, replacing Gilbert, I think that is Alex St. Hilaire. He's usually he is the fastest one, that much I know. It is Carter Stewart. Thank you, Jeremy Hinton. I can't believe you're listening. Wow.
We have fans in the stands.
Yeah, seriously. I will. Mrs. Hinton, your son is saying hello to you. What's her first name? Jackie? All right. Is she watching?
Great job, Juan. Here you go.
First pitch coming to Jack, taken for a ball. Count 1-0.
Jack walked and had a base hit in the second.
Pitch misses high to Toscano, or from Toscano, and the count now is 2-0 on Jack Hinton. So
the Bulldogs threatening here. They have 2 in running and scoring position here with no outs. Bottom of the 6th. They don't have to get all 4 here, but 2 or 3 would be really nice.
I'd take 5, actually. 5 would be good. Pitch taken for a strike over the outside corner, 2-1 on Jack. And again, that one if it's not exactly what you're looking for, you're not going to be taking a hack at it. And we know that Jack likes to see a lot of pitches as well. 2-0, you can be a bit more selective. 2-1 coming, hit hard. Second baseman Boodoo down to one knee again. His throw to first is in time, and in to score is Gilbert. Over to third base, Carter Stewart. And the Bulldogs get their first run of the game. Jack Hinton gets himself an RBI, and now with one out here in the bottom of the sixth, Peter Suazo will come up.
Suazo hit into a double play in the fourth. Flew out to center field in the second. Bulldogs cut the lead, now 4-1, Salem.
Pete hits that one hard down the left field line. He'll round first, thinking about second. It's bobbled by the left fielder, and into second base, Peter Suazo will go. Carter Stewart in to score, and the Bulldogs have cut the lead in half. They now trail 4-2.
That's 3 two-base hits in a row for the Bulldogs. They've got something going here, and they cut the lead to 4-2.
So now it's Zach Papik, who is acting as the DH now. He is hitting for Aiden Farnham. Papik started the game as the pitcher, and when Farnham came in to replace him as a position player, Papik stayed in the lineup for the Bulldogs. So now Peter Suazo out there at second base, his team trailing 4-2. And Papik with a chance to undo himself as the pitcher of record for Bedford. Pitch misses down low, 1-0. Toscano still out there for the Blue Devils. Haven't thrown a whole lot of pitches before the inning. As Papik laces that one down the left field line, it'll be a fair ball. Billy Chapman windmilling Suazo in, and the left fielder Cologne will get it in. Papik helps himself with a double, and the Bulldogs now trail it 4-3 here in the bottom of the sixth. They are feasting on Toscano, who is still not throwing a whole lot of pitches, only 62, but man, he's in a lot of hot water here in the bottom of the sixth.
4 doubles now in this inning for the Bulldogs. Interrupted by 1 ground out. So it's back to being a game, 4-3. And Bulldog in scoring position.
And Toscano still out there on the mound. I know that Salem had somebody in the bullpen. I didn't see a whole lot of action down that way, so I don't know if they're riding or dying with him. Pitch taken for a strike at the knees. Frangelo disagreed, shook his head, turns around. Count 0-1 on Landon. Will Smith waiting on deck.
I believe Ryan Bryant was the player that the Bulldogs, I'm sorry, the Blue Devils had warming up, number 7.
And that one hit in the air to left center. The left fielder can't do anything about it. It's past Cologne, going all the way to the wall. Frangelo into second base, has himself a double. If you're being charitable, I might go E7 on that one, but I think the Bulldogs scoring will probably result in a double for Frangelo, and that'll knot things up at 4 here in the bottom of the sixth inning. So was it really necessary for them to wait this long to start hitting?
More dramatic, I suppose.
Probably, I guess, yeah.
Wakes everybody up. Now I think we'll start hearing something coming out of that dugout.
Maybe, but you got to keep the line moving. You still got to get some outs here.
But 5 doubles in a row by the Bulldogs here, and now finally I think they're going to sit, yes they are going to send Toscano to the showers, if there were showers here.
We don't have those. They
could stand under a garden hose.
Yeah, you could if that was your thing. According to the Blue Devil Game Changer, they went double for Gilbert, double for Duquette, Suazo single, and then an error by the left fielder Deshane is what they said. So the left fielder is Deshane, not Cologne. I believe I read my notes wrong. And they went Frangelo error, but I think the Bulldogs, if I was guessing, would probably rule double for Frangelo. A little bit of home cooking, and why not?
And just like that, we're all tied up 4 apiece. Just 1 out here. And a new pitcher to the mound here. It is Jack Quimby, number 3. What do the stats say about Quimby?
Quimby has thrown a whopping 1/3 of an inning and has allowed 2 earned runs. So his ERA is 42, astronomical. So he has struck out 1. So Quimby has not done a whole lot of pitching to this point, and this unfortunately gets to the point in the season for many of these teams where if you don't have pitching, the number of games that you play in any given week, you may go pretty deep into the roster. Now the Bulldogs had Jason Topf on the mound, and Jason had only thrown 1 inning, but that's a bit of a mirage. He's a player who has been on the mound quite a bit, is very comfortable on the mound, and we saw it in his 1 inning of work. He struck out 2, and he's a guy who on a lot of teams in the state would be getting more than his fair share of innings, and in this case, he came in, was a bridge between Suazo and perhaps Crowley. Perhaps they leave Topf out there if the Bulldogs have a lead in the top of the 7th inning. But regardless, for Bedford, a strong comeback here in the bottom of the 6th on the strength of something like 5 doubles, depending on whose game changer you're checking.
Sure, you know, if you want me to do this, I got the sense for it.
Quimby continues to throw.
I said, sure, if you want me to do it, I get a sense of this.
If you're a fan of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, 42 is the answer to everything.
Yes, that's really funny. That book has come up twice in the last week and a half.
I defer to your judgment.
After not hearing anything about it for decades, and somebody told me I now have to read it again. It will
I
be.
can bring it up.
Yeah, it'll be in a long. I got to get through a few others before I get to that one.
Every time I hear 42, that's what I think of.
Yep. And there was, if in the case of Jack Hinton, he wore that number for a long time to honor Jackie Robinson, as many kids will do as they're growing up. As good of a reason as anything. So Quimby out there on the mound having a conversation with his catcher Doherty with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th, and the Bulldogs have 4 across.
And Papik is now off the hook as the
Papik is
record.
off the hook. Papik came in 3-0, so he will not be dinged for his first loss of the season. I believe he had at least 1 last year. But this year he is 3-0, and that will remain unblemished. Quimby's fastball up, 1-0 on Will Smith. Frangelo out there at second base. They are keeping him on as Patrick Ross playing behind him, and he's taking a very modest lead out at second.
I would imagine that Smith will just let Quimby come to him with the pitches.
1-0 misses up, 2-0 now.
And just show that he can throw strikes before taking a cut. If he's willing to put you on base, go ahead.
Now we have some signs of life in the dugout, a little bit of clapping over there. Quimby's 2-0. Will Smith taking a gigantic hack and then took a step away, almost like he was watching the imaginary ball go over the left field fence. It's a home run swing, and you heard Adam Perkins, or at least we did, say from the first base coach's box, drive that ball oppo. Good approach, makes you stay through the ball a bit longer too. Quimby checks the 2-1, taken for a strike over the outside corner. 2-2 now the count on Will Smith, the number 9 batter. Carter Crowley is in the on-deck circle for Bedford, 0 for 3 today, but we all know what Carter can do with the bat. Quimby steps off, will chase Frangelo back to the bag. Now Smith, who's 1 for 2, steps in, 2-2 count on him. Quimby checks, 2-2 comes, fastball misses away, and the count runs full on the number 9 batter, Smith. Salem had 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and it seemed like it was awfully bleak for the Bulldogs, and the energy level was slightly above that of a corpse. Will Smith calls time, steps out, have himself a hack. This is not the major leagues. We have no pitch count that we're beholden to, and guys can step out as much as they want, throw over to first as much as they want. Smith stands in, slight build. Quimby deals, payoff pitch. taken inside for ball 4, and now the Bulldogs have runners at first and second. Carter Crowley, the leadoff man, coming up.
So Smith is the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, he's the sixth Bulldog to reach base in this inning.
Solid, productive inning for Bedford as Doherty goes out to talk to his pitcher Quimby. The corner infielders also go in to converse, ostensibly discussing bunt defense, although I can't imagine that Billy Chapman would bunt Carter Crowley here. Carter is 0 for 3. Hit the ball very hard his last time up, wound up grounding into a double play at that point. But the guess would be that Carter's able to swing away here. Third baseman appears to be thinking the same. It looks like he's playing back. Quimby's first pitch to Crowley, taken for a strike, count 0-1. Crowley, the eighth batter to come up for the Bulldogs here in the bottom of the sixth.
Looking at Masson playing on the infield grass like he's expecting a bunt.
He's kind of in no man's land. It's almost that if he's expecting a bunt, he needs to be a little bit closer in, but right now I don't know that with a good bunt, I don't know that he'd be able to make much of a play on it. So the Bulldogs with one out, and I'm also not sure that they would want to give up an out with one already. Quimby steps off, steps back on, put into a tough situation. The runner on second base, Frangelo, is the responsibility of Toscano, the starting pitcher. Quimby deals, curveball, outside corner, strike 2, and Crowley in a hole now, 0-2. And this is one of those times, you saw the movie For Love of the Game, when he talks about clearing the mechanism. If you're Carter, you got to just reset. 2 pitches you might not have agreed with, but all it's going to take is one for you at this point. Quimby's 0-2, fastball up, out of the crouch, Doherty to snare it, and now the count 1-2. Knotted up 4-4, bottom of the sixth inning. The Bulldogs with the go-ahead run, standing in scoring position, and Insurance is on first base in the person of Will Smith. First baseman now playing behind Smith, and Crowley cuts on that one and misses, and down he goes on strikes for out number 2 here in the bottom of the sixth. That'll bring up Jason Topf. So Quimby has done what he was supposed to, at least in terms of getting through Crowley. He walked Smith, got himself the second out. And now Jason stands in. Great job by the catcher Doherty going down into his right to snag that ball. Otherwise, that's going to move Frangelo up 90 feet and potentially more.
Top is the 9th batter for the Bulldogs in the 6th inning. Hoping to give Jimmy Gilbert another shot here.
Jason 1 for 3 in the game. Has hit the ball hard all 3 times. This one on 2 hops past the third baseman and into left field. Frangelo being sent home by Chapman. The throw in from the left fielder is not in time. Landon scores, and the Bulldogs find themselves ahead here, and probably in the bottom of the 6th inning after a single from Jason Topf. He has hit the ball hard all 4 times today. Scorched one to left his first time up, singled up the middle in the 3rd. A 1-hopper back to the pitcher Toscano in the 5th, and this time, where we're standing, I'm going to go base hit on it because I don't know any better. So Jason 2 for 4 puts the Bulldogs ahead, and now James Gilbert, who led off the inning with a double all the way to the wall and right earlier in the inning, trying to salt this one away a bit. Quimby's fastball up, 1-0.
I saw the other part of the game on the other eye.
Will Smith at second base, good lead, held on by the shortstop. And this one, Gilbert golfs it high in the air to left, and Deshane, the left fielder, will camp underneath it for out number 3 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. But guess what? The Bulldogs came into the inning trailing 4-0 and exit the inning leading 5-4. We are through 6, 5-4 Bedford. You are watching Bedford Bulldogs baseball on BCTV.
Seventh inning action here as Salem comes to bat, trailing 5-4. First time in the game they are behind. They gave up 5 runs in that 6th inning. The pitcher they put in, Jack Quimby, on the hook for most of those runs. By the way, if you didn't switch channels and go to the lacrosse game, well, it paid off for you. You got to see that big Bedford rally. But as soon as we're done here, we'll switch these channels over to the lacrosse game. Channels 8 and 1072 will show you boys lacrosse against Exeter going on right now.
The final line on the Salem starting pitcher, at least by virtue of the Salem game changer, 5 1/3 innings. He allowed 9 hits, 5 runs, 2 earned. Walked 2 and struck out none, so they were a bit more harsh on their fielders in terms of assessing errors than we would have been. I have a feeling Bedford will probably show 4 or 5 earned runs, but regardless. Now Carter Crowley on the bump trying to earn the save for the Bulldogs. Jason Topf will continue his tour of the diamond. He started the game at 3rd, took the mound, and now is at shortstop for Bedford. And no other defensive changes for the Dogs right now. An infield of Gilbert at 1st, Frangelo at 2nd, Hinton at 3rd, and Topf at shortstop. That one is fouled off out of play. Duquette gave it a look, and an outfield of Smith in left, Farnham in center, and Suazo around and right.
And that is Owen Doherty on the plate for the Bulldogs. Sorry, for the Blue Devils. 3 outs away from a win here.
It's funny, so several years ago there was a track meet and somebody had, it might have been in the New England track meet, I don't remember, but whoever grabbed the logos for the track meet grabbed the Bedford Mass logo. They're the Bedford Buccaneers. So you go down the thing looking for the dog. We couldn't find the dog, and it looked an awful lot like the Salem Blue Devil, except it was kind of a Johnny Depp clone character.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, it's I looked at that tonight and I did a double take when I was looking at Salem's game changer. Crowley behind 3-1 to Doherty, who's 1 for 4 on today's game. Carter's fastball taken for a strike at the knees, and Doherty thought it was ball 4, hopped up, spun around, and I have to imagine that will induce a little bit of ire from the home plate umpire Brian Smith. Umpires generally don't like that. Here's Carter's payoff pitch. That one hit on the ground to Topf at short. Plays back into his left. Strong throw over to first to Gilbert in time for the first out here in the top of the 7th inning. Nice play by Jason. On that one, you have 2 choices. You can either charge in, try to play the short hop, or play it off to his left, which he did. A very good decision, a sign of a kid that's taken a lot of ground balls, and then made a very strong throw to Gilbert, taking advantage of yet another tall Bedford first baseman for the first out here in the top of the 7th.
Kyle Giroso up at the plate for Salem, takes a strike low.
This is a guy who feels like he's been on base all day, frankly.
He has. He scored 2 runs, had 2 base hits. He got on base on a fielder's choice, so he's been on 3 times.
We have seen it. He swords himself, cuts and misses in the count on 0-2 on Gianrusso. Crowley way ahead there, but got on base by way of a fielder's choice in the 2nd and got hit by the relay throw from Frangelo. That one in the dirt. Duquette backhand blocks it, and count 1-2 on Gianrusso. Crowley missing on that one. 0-2 is just fine. That location's perfect. And Gianrusso, we saw in his last at-bat, is adept at fouling balls off. The 1-2, that one laced to right, coming in and getting underneath it. Peter Suazo for out number 2. And for the first time today, Gianrusso doesn't have to worry about getting hit by baseballs while he's running the bases.
So the Blue Devils are down to their last out. Let's see who they send to the plate. It looks like it's going to be Toscano.
I think what they may have done, because Toscano, much like Papik, was in the game as the pitcher slash DH, I believe what would have happened was Toscano left the game, stayed in the batting order. And Toscano himself having a good day, 2 for 3 with a pair of singles and a run batted in. Off speed from Crowley, just misses outside, 1-0. It is kind of mind-boggling to look at Carter Crowley, and at least for me, and say he's a senior already. Doesn't feel like we should be at this point in the story, but here we are.
They grow up fast.
They grow up really fast. He will be headed to Holy Cross in the fall to play baseball.
Lovely little ballpark right off the interstate.
Ballpark. One of the oldest ballparks still in use in America, Fitton Field. Truly a gem, and of course that used to be the home of a number of independent teams, and now with
the Tornadoes.
With Polar Park, Rich Gedman was the manager for some time. The 3-0 fastball taken for a strike at the knees, the count 3-1. Now with Polar Park there, Fitton Field is kind of often forgotten, but it's a gem in its own right.
And the football stadium right next door too is pretty intimate as well. Here's a hit.
Toscano ropes that one to center. Farnham thought about diving at it, instead thinks better of it, plays it on a hop, but with his bare hand. And Toscano with an aggressive swing on that ball, I'll describe it as such. And now the tying run is on base, and we'll see if Salem runs for Toscano here to try to get the tying run a little bit of speed, but they are not going to do that. Toscano enjoying a very good day. He's now 8 for 33 on the season.
This is Patrick Ross at the plate, so they're sticking with their lineup here.
That one spiked past Duquette. It'll go all the way to the backstop, and Toscano will move up 90 feet, so now he's at second base. With 2 outs here in the top of the 7th inning, the Bulldogs lead at 5-4, but you got to keep Toscano from scoring in this situation, and the guy that you have to get is Patrick Ross, who is 2 for 3 in today's game.
Yeah, I was going to mention Farnham played that hit very smartly. Rather than trying to dive, make a heroic catch, and risking the ball getting behind him, he kept it in front of him, limited it to a base hit, which of course is now a 2-base situation with the wild pitch, but still smart play by Farnham to keep the ball in front of him. And now we've got the pinch runner coming in. Number 7 is Ryan Bryant for the Bulldogs. So Bryant now on second base.
Toscano,
the tying run for the Blue Devils. At least they hope so.
Toscano, by the way, came in hitting 172. The 3 for 4 has made him 242. So that's kind of the illustration of he's over the Mendoza line now, or the Bob Euchre line, as he would have preferred that it were called. Euchre, a career 199 hitter. Mendoza, a 215 hitter. Historical useless footnotes. Bulldogs lead at 5-4. That one hit hard on the ground to second base. Frangelo to his left, over to Gilbert at first in time, and that will do it for this evening's game. So the Bulldogs, victim of some miscues early on in the game, and in the 4th and 5th innings gave up a pair of runs each inning, and were absolutely slumbering with the bats at that point. Scored 5 in the bottom of the 6th inning. I think it was because I was talking about that 6-5 Merrimack win maybe. And then Carter Crowley comes on to shut things down in the bottom, or in the top of the 7th inning, pick up the save, and the Bulldogs go home victorious 5-4.
And second game in a row now, the Bulldogs come from behind in the 6th inning and close the game out. So great job there for the Bulldogs. They improve to 7-5.
They are 7-5 now. Salem falls to 6-7. So again, you think about the standings, the Bulldogs are now 7-5. Okay, you lose that game, you're now 6-6. Salem wins this game, they're now 6-6, and all of a sudden, then they have the tiebreaker, the head-to-head. There's a lot of down the road impact that this game can have if you lose this game. This is a game, as you're looking on the schedule, and I know Billy Chapman does, you look on the schedule, if I'm him, and I'm not going to speak for him, but he will look at the schedule and say, all right, got to win this, got to win this, got to win this. This is a game that is listed as a got to win game. It's an opponent that you typically have a bit more talent than, and you're playing your home field. This is a game that you should win. So for the Bulldogs, they were trailing for a long time in this game to come up with 5 in the bottom of the 6th inning, go home with this win. or stay at home with this win. Truly a big deal for this team and give them a little bit more momentum as they head into the stretch run of the season.
Well, we're going to wrap things up real quick. One more time, thanking our underwriters for our sports coverage: Primary Bank, the Wicks Insurance Group, Interim Healthcare of Manchester, Nelson Real Estate New Hampshire, and great New Hampshire restaurants like T-Bones and the Copper Door. Bill Jennings on camera, Andrew Fenn back in the studio in control. Lauren Fox, thank you for joining me on this broadcast. I'm Mary Kozlowski. Stay tuned. We're going to switch over to lacrosse in just a moment. You've been watching Bedford Baseball on BCTV.